Let me start off this way. So NVIDIA on Thursday also invited me to an all-day technical session overview for the 3000 series card. So I got a deep dive on the technical side of what these cards can do, the performance and all that. Not to mention the hardware and the software aspects as well. When we talk about NVIDIA broadcast, we talk about DLSS, things like that. So with that said, couple corrections. The 3070, yes, is basically the equivalent of a 2080 Ti. It is the 2080 that the 3080 has 2 times the performance of. The 3080 is about 40% more than a 2080 Ti. Just so you understand the performance jump that we're starting to see. And even already with what Digital Foundry was able to do, they obviously weren't able to do a full review. They weren't able to show frames, things like that, but they were able to show percentages. And you consistently saw, when in comparison to a 2080, the 3080, you're getting 80 to 90% performance increase over what a 2080 card can do. They did games like Control, I think Tomb Raider, stuff like that. So already you're like, oh my God, look, this thing is a beast. And yes, this is clearly NVIDIA. It is showing that Big Navi, aka RDNA 2, is going to be a threat to Ampere. And we don't know when these cards are coming out. Some stuff has started to leak, but obviously discussion isn't directly about AMD. But this is where I will push back on you, Pete, and say, no, this actually does go to show you that the PlayStation 5 and the Series X will be, at least in the short term, challengers to high-end gaming PCs. At least when I say short term, I'm talking this year, this holiday, and into 2021. Going beyond that, as these devs get to actually take more advantage of the new architecture of Ampere and Big Navi, you're going to start to see that performance increase jump leaps and bounds. Now, yeah, I'm pretty excited about what NVIDIA got to show me. And you are correct, Pete. When we talk about the 3090 is the Titan replacement. Let's be crystal clear on that. Yes, you can obviously use it for gaming, but I've been telling a lot of people on social media, it's overkill. You get it if you want to just say you have the biggest and the best card. Do you need it? Absolutely not. You're going to be able to play the latest games in 4K above 60 frames per second using a 3080. And yes, at $699, that is an absolute value that you're going to be able to get out of this. So NVIDIA themselves also put out a video and they were doing direct comparison to the 2080 Ti, where you saw the 3080 basically averaging 4K 120 frames per second on that 3080 card, right? That's freaking phenomenal when you think about that. Like, look, I got the LG CX 48-inch OLED because I'm ready, because HDMI 2.1, now we can actually do 4K above 60 frames per second on a display. So I'm gonna be setting all that stuff up soon. But I'm very excited about it. And one of the bigger things that people need to understand is when we start talking about these tensor cores and we start talking about the hardware ray tracing that is built into Ampere. When you combine that with the software side of what they're able to do with DLSS, I mean, dude, we're going to see performance increases that we've yet to see. When you have Richard from Digital Foundry going, it is doing things that I've never seen. That immediately excites me, because we are about to see a big performance leap with gaming, and that goes not only on the PC side, but we're also going to see that on the console side. And the other aspect of this that people have been sleeping on is the SSD. This is why the Series X and the PlayStation 5 is going with an NVMe drive, because the fact that these cards are going to be able to almost use the SSD as virtual memory to be able to load in assets and data at unprecedented speeds, it's completely going to change the way that developers are making games. So yeah, that's why you are going to see a cutoff at some point where you can't use the old hard drives anymore. You're going to have to use these SSDs. And that is on the PC side as well. And I know there's been some controversy like PCIe 3.0, 4.0. Yes, there is a performance loss if you're at 3.0. It's minimal, but it is there, because we talked about this on Thursday during the Q&A. But even at PCIe 3.0, when you start to use these SSD drives, these M.2 drives on there, the speed increase that you're going to see, it's going to allow developers to do things with games that they've not been able to do before. That's why you're seeing the quick resume on the console. That's why when you really think about it, when third-party developers start making games that can only happen on a Series X and a PlayStation 5, that is also going to have to be replicated on the PC side as well. So you're going to see at some point where the traditional mechanical hard drives are no longer, they're not even going to be the minimum requirement. There's going to be a minimum requirement on the type of SSD drive that you can use on the PC side, for certain games, because that is just the next generational leap that we're about to take. So look, games like Cyberpunk and all that, no, they're not going to take advantage of that in the short term. But when we get to, I don't know, I'm just pulling a random game out. When we get to the new Horizon game, right? Obviously, even Ratchet and Clank in the short term is going to be an early example of this, where Ratchet and Clank cannot happen on a PlayStation 4 because the PlayStation 5 has that SSD, and you're literally having 2 and 3 other levels loaded simultaneously the same time you're in the level that you're in. That's why you're able to do that quick hop over to another level, and it's seamless. You can't do that right now. Can't do that because you have to take into account the current mechanical hard drives that simply don't have the speed, the read-write access to be able to do something like that. So I'm telling you guys, and a shout out to Jason Ronald. He's over at Xbox. He's basically he's kind of basically the head of the whole Series X development, right? I would absolutely love to get him on this podcast, because I would like to talk about this, not just from a PC standpoint, but also on the console standpoint as well. How, with their quote unquote velocity architecture, they're taking advantage of these SSD drives, and how that's going to push gaming on console side, just the performance increase and just a generational leap that we're about to see. Look, PlayStation, I don't think we're going to get, what was it, Mark Cerny? I don't think he's coming on here, but
no, he's not going to come in.
But maybe we can get Jason Ronald to come on from Xbox. But yeah, man, I'm just telling you, I'm so excited for what we're about to see. Like, again, I'll just stick with Cyberpunk as an example, because they showed that during the live stream. The ray tracing, the fact that ray tracing is going to become a standard in gaming, because these cards can actually handle the performance hit now when you couple it with DLSS. And just quick, trying to not get overly technical on this. Basically what DLSS is doing, it's doing some super sampling, right? So I can take a game running at 1080p, and then it's basically through AI going to up-res it to 4K. And to the human eye, you ain't gonna be able to tell the difference. But what this does is it takes some of the performance hit off the card, so it allows you to basically have a game in 4K with ray tracing enabled above 60 frames per second. That's what this is going to do. So, and because the fact that CD Projekt Red and NVIDIA partnered up on this to help kind of develop this tech that they're using for Cyberpunk, you can expect, if you have a 3080 card, you're going to play Cyberpunk in 4K with ray tracing enabled at least 60 frames per second. And ultra settings, by the way. I always forget to mention that. This is also with ultra settings too. That's incredible. We've not had the hardware to do that until now. That's what you're seeing. It is taking the best in hardware, coupling it with advanced software tech, this AI tech, putting them together in the synergy, and it's going to allow gaming to go to the next leap. And like I said, you're not going to see it so much here in the short term, but by holiday 2021 and beyond, it's going to start to become a standard. And I'm telling you guys, be excited about this. Am I going to tell you, run out and go get a 3070 or 3080 today? You can if you want. Honestly, the used market for my 2080 Ti, I might as well just give it away for free, because the market has just crashed when I want to sell that. But the fact that you can probably go get a 2080 Ti right now for like $400 in the short term, if you're just getting into PC building and you don't care about ray tracing, as an example, that card is going to be phenomenal for the next couple years. But as we move on, you're going to want to step up into the 3000 series. You're going to want to see what Big Navi is, because you're going to then be able to take advantage of some of these next generational performance leaps that you're going to see in PC gaming. And then obviously if you're a console gamer, the Series X and the PlayStation 5 is coming out this holiday. But I'm super excited about it, man. And I'll just say one last thing before I shut up. NVIDIA's also left themselves some wiggle room here with that pricing of the 3080, because it being at $700, that is a bargain in PC gaming. Trust me, with the performance you're getting out of this. If Big Navi does turn out to be a threat to what they're doing with Ampere, there's some wiggle room in there that they potentially could have a 3080 Super or Ti, whatever you want to call it, at around $1,000 to $1,100 to $1,000, what the current 2080 Ti had been retailing for, and then take an even higher performance leap. Oh, and then one last thing. I know a lot of people were concerned that the 3080 is only doing only has 10 gigabytes of memory in it, or 10 gigs of memory, and it's at DDR6X. And the 2080 Ti was at 11, but then obviously you're seeing a 3090 at 24. What NVIDIA is saying with the way that now that they've advanced the hardware in this card and the speeds that it's going to be able to grab data, these next generation games aren't going to have to utilize as much memory directly from the card as they have in the past. So that's why you're seeing this reduction, and we'll see. We'll see as we go on and as these devs jump in. And again, they've left themselves wiggle room that if they need to put in a 3080 Super and up the memory to 16 gigs or 20 gigs or something like that for increased performance, they have the wiggle room to do that, and they have kind of that middle in between pricing they could do that should be satisfactory. But I'm excited for it. I'm not going to have a 3080 at launch. I'm not reviewing it early or anything. I've already talked to NVIDIA about it. I will have one a few weeks after, and obviously I'll put it through all my own little personal benchmarks and probably have a video up on the YouTube channel, stuff like that. But I'm excited for it, man. And I will say this: anyone that is looking to get a 3080 right away, you better have your ass up on the 17th around about 6 a.m. and grab one, because there's not going to be any early pre-orders on it, and there's going to be high demand for this card. 3080.
Oh no, for sure.
Yeah. So, and then the 3090 goes on sale on the 24th of September, and then the 3070 is going to be at some point in October. But
right,
it's going to be exciting, man. I'm trust me. This week it was the first week I felt like, oh my God, we're about to hit the next generation of gaming. I can see it now. I can understand it from a technical standpoint. You may not necessarily have the games today that's going to take advantage of it, but now I see why Xbox did what they did. I see why PlayStation did what they did. And clearly NVIDIA is following along that same exact path that they're doing, which of course means AMD is going to do the same thing with Big Navi. So it's exciting times for sure. And I'll be
for sure. For sure.
No, Paris, I was going to ask a question, Pete, very quick. Paris, there's a lot of people that don't have a PC and they got excited because of the presentation a couple of days ago. And what would you recommend? Should they go with 3080 or the 3070 as a first-time PC gamers, or what?
I would say 3070 just for this. And again, I'm talking this from a standpoint of I'm trying to play in 4K at high frames. So that's why I'm saying the 3080. If you're a 1080p or a 1440p gamer, the 3070 is a freaking monster at 1440p. I'm telling you, this is again why I'm saying the 2080 Ti is going to be such a value as well on the used market, because that thing will be a monster at 1440p. You can use DLSS and enable ray tracing at 1440p and get high frames with a 2080 Ti. So I would say to anyone, and obviously pricing wise as well, I mean, the 3070, for all intents and purposes, knock on wood, is the same exact price as a Series X or a PlayStation 5. Obviously a PC, you still need to, you got to buy the case, the motherboard, you got to buy memory. There's other costs associated with building a PC. But if you're interested in dipping your toe into PC gaming and you want to go through that, because I recommend anyone, don't just buy a PC off the shelf. Build it yourself. It is one of the most satisfying things that you can do, is to know that you can build your own PC. But price wise, yes, go with a 3070. Look at the used game market, for these 20 series cards, because I mean the prices are just dropping big time already. So you can bargain build a PC, play at 1440p or 1080p, high frames, enable ray tracing, all that stuff at a pretty reasonable price comparative to console gaming. So like I said, I think there's something here for everyone. Like I said, it doesn't necessarily have to be on the PC side. This week showed me, okay, Microsoft and Sony, I get it. I get what you're doing. And that's why I say I would love to talk to more people over there on the hardware side to kind of understand their thinking, because I do believe after what I got to hear this week, I kind of get it, but I want to confirm it. But yeah, man, I mean, it's an exciting time for anyone that if you just want to stick to console gaming, go for it. Knock yourself out. It's going to be an amazing experience there. But if you do want to get into PC gaming, like I said, I think that 2080 Ti or that 3070 is a great starting point from a GPU. And then even when you look on the and I'm not trying to be too technical. And then when you look on the CPU side, I mean, Ryzen right now, the prices that you could get like a 3600 or 3700, I mean, it's pretty cheap. And those are some high performance CPUs that will work very well. And obviously Intel is coming out, Tiger Lake is coming out as well. So it's like, it's going to be exciting this holiday, man. I'm just telling you, the nerd in me has just been so excited all week because I see what's happening, and it's an exciting time for sure.